Hello to all of you. This is Dr. Dhaval Maheta, and today we will understand reflective and formative model in SmartPLS-4. When it comes to drawing of a formative model or a reflective model, the basic difference lies in terms of arrows. In case of formative model, the arrows will be moving inside the construct, and when we talk about the reflective model, the arrows are moving away from the construct. This is just in terms of drawing the model. But let us see what is a theoretical difference between them. Now you can see here, there is a degree of drunkenness is there. This side, there are statements which you can say they are all consequences, the reasons, the consequences of getting drunk here. And this side, you can say there are causes are there, that why a person got drunk. So here, the consequences are there, and here causes are there. Now let us understand that if there is a drunk person, what characteristics he or she will exhibit. So a drunk person will have a problem of sentence forming, interaction ability, ability to walk on a straight line, or the reaction rate will become slow. Now a drunk person does not have any option or a freedom that a particular characteristics will be exhibited by him. He does not have any option because all these characteristics will move simultaneously, and therefore there will be a very strong correlation among all these characteristics. So whenever you are working on a reflective measurement in which the statements are more consequences oriented, it is bound to happen that there will be a very high degree of correlation among them. If you talk about the formative scale, in this case, if a person wants to get drunk, he can have a beer, he can consume spirits. It also depends on time passed since last alcohol drink was taken, the fat content of the last meal. Now, it is not necessary that a person to get drunk should consume all of them simultaneously. Even one of the criteria is enough for a person to get drunk. It means that there is not a high degree of correlation among these statements. So these are the causes because of which the person gets drunk, and these are the consequences of being drunk. So if it is a consequences, it is a reflective statement, and if it is a cause, then it is a formative statement. If I talk about the model, this is a reflective model and this is a formative model. Now, if I want to measure the drunkenness, even if I replace one of the statement here, there will not be a problem on the overall construct. The statements can be replaced here very easily. But when I replace the statement here, the overall validity of the instrument will change. And therefore, replacing the statement is not as advisable in case of formative model. You can very well replace or substitute the statements in reflective measurement. Now let us understand the concept of reflective and formative with another example. Life stress can be caused by job loss, X1, divorce, X2, X3, recent accident. Any of them can cause a life stress. It is not necessary that all these three things should happen simultaneously, then only the life stress will happen. It is just like a condition or. Any one of them can cause the life stress. According to Hulen, 1999, in case of formative model, the statements can have a positive, negative, or no correlation among them. But if I talk about the reflective one, the characteristics which are exhibited for a person who is punctual in time, that is a timeliness. X1, accommodate the last minute request. 2, punctuality in meeting deadlines. X3, speed of returning the phone calls. In case of reflective model, it is necessary that the indicators must be highly correlated according to Hulen. Now, this is an example which is given in the book, A Primer on Parcel List Square Structural Equation Modeling by Professor Hare, Professor Hult, Professor Ringel, and Professor Sarstedt, who are the developers of the SmartPLS-4 software. Satisfaction. If you talk about this first, you can say first cell and the second cell. If it is a reflective scale, then if a person is satisfied, he will exhibit the consequences. That is, if a person is satisfied, he will appreciate the hotel, he will look forward to stay in this hotel, he will recommend this hotel to the others. So, if your statements are more consequences oriented, which we have already discussed, then it is a reflective model. Now, what can be the causes or the reasons why a person is satisfied? So, the reasons are service is good, the personnel is friendly, the rooms are clean. And if the statements are more causes, then your model is a formative model. Any construct at any moment of time can be a reflective also, and it can be a formative. All the red ones here are reflective statements, and all the blue ones are formative constructs, or sorry, formative statements. Red ones are reflective statements, and the blue ones are formative statements. The difference between reflective and formative models are, in case of reflective, they reflect their items. In the first slide only, we have discussed that thing, that the arrows will be moving away from the construct. In case of formative one, items forms the construct. In case of reflective, indicators must be highly correlated. Reflective model. We had taken the example of that. If a person is drunk, then all the characteristics will be exhibited simultaneously of a person being drunk. In case of formative, correlation is not expected. In case of reflective, removal of an item does not affect overall construct, that we have talked about. That the characteristics which are exhibited by a drunk person, if there are 10 characteristics, I can replace any one of them, and I can introduce one more characteristics, I can replace it. But in case of formative, omitting an indicator is omitting a part of this construct. The example was that if a person has got drunk because of some reason, because of consuming the particular alcohol. Now, if I remove that alcohol only, definitely it is going to affect my construct. And therefore, I cannot omit an indicator in the formative models. When item is removed, it does not affect overall content validity in case of reflective. Here, when item is removed, overall content validity may get affected. In case of reflective, the same construct is measured by asking similar questions. In case of formative, different questions are asked. In case of reflective, statements are like consequences. In case of formative, statements are causes. In case of reflectives, items can be interchangeable, or in other words, we can substitute one item with another. For example, it is not possible for me to measure or to quantify this statement. I can definitely replace this with another statement. In case of formative, items cannot be substituted. In case of reflective, direction of causality is from construct to item. In case of formative, the direction of causality is from item to construct. Now, how to resolve that is my construct formative or reflective? So there should be some indications. The first indication is theory suggesting that you are having a formative or a reflective model? Are you having some theory? Then you should go for formative construct. If your item statements are asked in terms of causes or dimensions or parameters, definitely you should go for the formative construct. The third indication is your composite reliability less than 0.7 and average variance extracted less than 0.5, then there is an indication that there is a chance that it can be a formative construct. Now, why this possibility is there? Let us understand. In case of reflective construct, we had seen that there is a high degree of correlation among the statements. So if there is a high degree of correlation in the statements, in case of reflective, definitely you are going to have high Cronbach alpha, high rho, high average variance extracted. But in formative construct, we had seen that there cannot be there can be a very less correlation among the statements, and therefore a less correlation will give rise to the low Cronbach alpha, low composite reliability, low rho, and low average variance extracted, and therefore this can be one of the indication that this is a formative construct. Fourth is we don't have any model available. If we don't have any model available, we will have to run the confirmatory tetrad analysis, which we will see later on. We are indecisive that what to do. In such scenario also, we will go for confirmatory tetrad analysis. Now, in case of 1, 2, 3, first three, we will check the convergent validity, which is being done by using the redundancy analysis by using a single global item. The formative model assessment procedure consists of first step, assess the convergent validity of the formative measurement model, assess the formative measurement models for the collinearity issues, assess the significance and relevance of the formative indicators. This we will see when we will run the SmartPLS. Now to check the convergent validity of the formative construct, we go for the redundancy analysis. This type of analysis is also was given by Chin 1998. When we are evaluating the formative measurement model, we have to test whether a formative measured construct is highly correlated with the reflective measure of the same construct or not. This I will explain how to do. To run the convergent validity in the case of formative construct, it is necessary that we should be having a single global item. This single global item is the overall item for which you are seeking a opinion of the participant. For example, service quality is measured by tangibility, assurance, empathy. But now you will ask a single global item that overall, what do you think about our service quality? This single global item is to be included at the survey stage itself. When you are developing a questionnaire, if you are having 4 questions which are formative, or rather you can say which are more causes oriented, there should be one more question which talks about the overall, and it should be on the reflective scale. For instance, if one used to check the customer satisfaction about product, one might ask the question regarding price, quality, and in last there should be something related to overall. What is your overall opinion about our product? There is some guideline for the global item. Inclusion of the global item should be done before the data collection. The single item should be the crux of entire construct. It means that if you are asking in surveys 5 statements are there, 4 should be on the format. If 4 of them are on the formative, you can say are asked on formative scale, the last one should be on the reflective, and it should be the overall of the above 4. The scale of the global item should be same as that of the particular construct in the questionnaire. The rating given by the respondents on the global item should be based on evaluating the entire construct. So if there are 5 constructs, then there should be 5 global items. Let us understand this. That this independent variable, it is a formative construct. Why? Because the arrows are moving inside. Now I want to check the conversion validity of this. So what will I do? I will introduce one single global item which has been captured using this measured variable, and it should be on the reflective scale, this one. What are the advantages of single item construct? Model is very simple and easy to understand. Cognitive dissonance is reduced, increases the responses rate, reduces suspicious response rate. So these are all advantages of using single item construct to check the convergent validity of the formative construct. Now there is a flow chart which we will have to follow when we are running the analysis. The first question is path coefficient greater than 0.7? Second, variance inflation factor, is it less than 3? If it is yes, convergent validity is achieved. We will come on this slide again and again, so no need to worry. If it is no, we will go for our outer indicator weights significant considering the p-value and bias corrected confidence interval. If yes, retain the statement. If no, then you will check R outer loading greater than 0.5. If yes, retain the statement. If no, remove the item. Now see how we are doing checking the convergent validity. The first assessment. Ideally, a magnitude of 0.90 or at least 0.80 and above is desired for the path between formative to reflective, which translate into R square value. If you take the square of this, it will be 0.81, and if you take the square of this, it will be 0.64. So this is ideal situation. But even if it is more than 0.7, it is acceptable. So this is a formative construct. Why? Because arrows are coming inside. We want to check its convergent validity by having a single global item, this one, which is a reflective construct. The second assessment which we have to do is in formative models, high correlation between the items is not at all acceptable, which we have discussed in the previous videos also. That when I say that there is a high correlation, definitely it is a reflective model. So here our desirable thing is that the correlation should be less. When more than two indicators are highly correlated, then it will give rise to multicollinearity. Collinearity aggravates the standard error. A related measure of collinearity which we are going to use for our assessment is a variance inflation factor, which is the inverse of tolerance. They both are inverse of each other. So this collinearity is the same thing which we have discussed here. VIF should be less than 3. In the context of PLSM, a tolerance value of 0.2 or lower and a VIF of 5 and higher respectively indicate a potential collinearity problem. Ideally, it should be less than 3. Now, how to run this? Let's see in SmartPLS. Now, when you will start SmartPLS-4, you will come on this home page. It may be possible that this example file may not be activated. If it is not activated, just you have to press this install and the example file will be activated. So here there is an example which is corporate reputation. You click on redundancy analysis, ATTR, that's attrition. Now we are going to run the redundancy analysis on this model. First of all, let us see, is this model formative? Yes, it's a formative model. It is a formative model because the arrows are moving inside. Now I want to check the conversion validity of this construct. So I have introduced a single global item which is on the reflective, which is a reflective model. Now how can I do this? I'll go and calculate bootstrapping. Make sure that at present I am keeping this sum samples only to be 1000 because if it is 5000 it will take too much time, but the authors have recommended to keep this 5000. I'll start the calculation. Now if your value, see this value, okay, and we will also see the flow chart. If this value is more than 0.7 and if the value p value is less than 0.05, the first assessment we have cleared. What was our first assessment? Let us see. This one, is path coefficient greater than 0.7? So we can see here that yes, it is greater than 0.7 and therefore we have cleared the first assessment. If you don't get this value, what you will have to do, you can just click here. See, this will give you only p values, and if you path coefficient and t values, you will have to activate path coefficient and p values. So first assessment is clear. Now I want to run the variance inflation. I want the statistics that is variance inflation factor to check the multicollinearity. So again, I will go and calculate PLSM algorithm. Make sure it is on path. Start the calculation. open the report and check the collinearity statistics. If this value is less than 3, then the conversion validity is achieved according to this flowchart. You can see here. Okay. Now we will see the second possibility, that suppose this value was less than 0.7 or VF was more than 3, then what to do? So we start the analysis again. I'll go in calculate bootstrapping, start the calculation. Suppose this value was less than 0.7 or VIF was more than 3, what to do? So in such scenario, you will go in opening the report and you will check the outer weights and you will click on mean, standard deviation and t-values. Now you will check the p-values of all these statements. Are they less than 0.05 or not? So you will check the p-values of all these statements. If they are less than 0.05, no need to worry, you will retain the statement. Okay, then also you will retain the statement. The second thing which you should check again in outer weights is that if any of the statement, does it consist of 0 in between? If it consists 0 in between, you will have to delete the statement. I again repeat, you will have to go in outer weights. In that you click on first one. If any of them is having the value, if the p value is more than 0.05, you will have to that statement, you will have to check its outer loading. If any of the statement is having the p value more than 0.05, check its confidence interval bias also. If it consists of 0 in between, then you will have to delete the statement or you will have to check its outer loading, which is a second part which we will see. Okay, so let us see, does it consist 0 in between? Positive to positive, there is no 0. Positive to positive, no 0. Positive to positive, no 0. And therefore, even if this value was less than 0.7, but as this one, outer weights confirm to our threshold limits, we will not delete the statement. This is our flow chart. See this one. Are outer weights significant considering the p-value and bias corrected confidence interval CI? So there should not be a presence of 0 in the bias corrected confidence interval. Yes, if everything is clear, we will retain the statement and we will not delete it. But at any moment of time, here, if any of the statement is having the p-value more than 0.05, 1, or the confidence interval bias corrected is having the 0 in between the confidence interval, then we should go for the next level. And that next level is outer loading. The first thing which you should check in outer loading is see the values here. Is it more than 0.5? If it is more than 0.5, sorry, you will click here. See these values. Is it more than 0.5 and is it significant? If it is yes, you will not delete the statement, you will retain the statement. Also check its confidence interval, bias corrected. Is there any presence of 0? If the 0 is not present, here you can see here positive to positive, positive to positive, positive to positive. 0 can only be present if one value is negative and another value is positive. So here 0 is not present, and as 0 is not present, it means that this statement is a very useful statement. We cannot delete this statement also. So this is according to the flow chart. Are outer loadings greater than 0.5? Yes, retain the statement. If it is less than, then only remove the item. Let me take the next example. I'll again go back in edit. Let me take the another example. CSOR. First, what is our flow chart? Check, is path coefficient greater than 0.75 and we have less than 3? First thing which we are going to check. How we can check? calculate the bootstrapping. If you want to have a statistics which are related to the inner model, you should go for bootstrapping. For outer model, you should go for PLS-4 algorithm. Click on bootstrapping. Start the calculation. Here also, I got the value. The path coefficient is more than 0.7 and this is p value is less than 0.05 and it is significant. If you don't get this value, you can activate from here. Path coefficient and p value, you will get it. But at any moment of time, if this value was less than 0.7, then we would have taken the another path, which we will see later on. The second assessment which you have to do for conversion validity is you will have to check its multicollinearity. How you can do this? Again, go and calculate PLS-4 algorithm, start the calculation, open the report and check the multicollinearity. Is it less than 3? Yes. If both of them are conformed, is path coefficient more than 0.7, we have less than 3, conversion validity achieved. Now at any moment of time, this value was less than 0.7. What to do? This value, path coefficient was less than 0.7 or your VIF was more than 3. What to do? So I will again go in calculate bootstrapping, start the calculation, open the report, and first thing which I should check is mean standard deviation and t value. Now you can see here that in CSOR, one of the statement, its p value is more than 0.05. Now this is something, so some action has to be initiated. Let us do some another testing. I'll click on confidence interval bias, confidence intervals bias corrected, and I'll check the presence of 0 in this confidence interval. Is 0 present in CSOR 1? Positive to positive, no. Positive to positive, no. Positive to positive, no. Negative to positive. Now this is very, you can say, very critical. The 0 is present. It means that should I delete this statement at this stage? No, I cannot delete the statement at this stage also. I will have to take one more level. And that level is, I'll check its outer loading. Check the outer loading of CSOR. Is it more than 0.5 according to the flow chart? Are outer loadings more than 0.5? Yes, they are more than 0.5 and they are significant. It means that we will not delete the statement. Now, why we are taking so much care in deleting the statement? Because we want to retain the statements. What is the logic of it? In case of formative construct, deleting the statement has got, you can say, very detrimental consequences on the content validity. And therefore, we take utmost care of retaining the statement rather deleting it. And that's the reason we have to follow this procedure before deleting any statement in formative construct. Okay. You can check its confidence intervals bias corrected. Is there a presence of 0 anywhere? If 0 is present, then we will delete it. If 0 is not present, we will retain it. Positive to positive, no 0. Good. Positive to positive, no 0. Good. Positive to positive, no 0. Good. So 0 is not present anywhere, and therefore we will retain this statement, even though here in case of outer weight it was showing the p value more than 0.05. Let us take one more example. Performance. Can you guess what is the next thing which we are going to do? Yes, we are going to run calculate bootstrapping, start the calculation. I want the path coefficient and p value. So it is more than 0.7. Very nice. Calculate the multicollinearity, that is VIF. Open the report. All less than 3. Fine. Conversion validity achieved. But at any moment of time, if this was less than 0.7, what would we would have done? Again, I would run bootstrapping, start the calculation, open report. I'll always start from from bottom to top. I'll first check outer weight. Are all of them significant? Yes. P-value less than 0.05. Nothing to worry. Confidence interval, does it contain 0 anywhere? No, it does not contain 0 anywhere. No need to worry. If we had a dispute here, or rather the p-value was more than 0.05, or here the 0 was present in between this confidence interval, we would have gone one more level and we would have checked the outer loadings. Outer loadings, see the p-value, sorry, see this original sample value. If it is more than 0.5 according to this flowchart, then we will retain the statement if p-values are significant. Let us check its confidence intervals bias corrected. Is there any presence of 0 anywhere? No. And therefore, performance has achieved the convergent validity, which is a formative construct. Okay. Let us go back and again check for quality. So it's a formative construct because arrows are moving inside. This convergent validity, according to chain, we are asking one single global item, that is an overall response. So this is on the reflective scale. Calculate, bootstrapping, start the calculation, activate path coefficient. Is it more than 0.7? Good. And it is significant also. Now check the multicollinearity, start the calculation, open the report. Are all of them less than 3? Quite good. At any moment of time, if this was less than 0.7, what would we would have done? I will again go in bootstrapping, start the calculation, and I would have checked the outer weights, mean standard deviation. Now you can see here quality. Its p-value is more than 0.05. So there is a conflict for quality 2, quality 4, and quality 7. Should I delete it at this stage? No, I cannot delete it. Let us check their confidence interval. Is the 0 present? Yes, there is. The 0 is present here. So there is an issue in quality 2, issue in quality 4, and issue in quality 7. Can I delete it? No, I cannot delete it. I will go in outer loading. So 2, 4, and 7. First of all, check its check in original sample. What is the flowchart saying? Our outer loading is greater than 0.5. So check for quality 2. Is it greater? Yes. Is it significant? Fine. I will not delete this statement. 4. Is it more than 0.5 and is it significant? Less than 0.05? I will not delete it. Here, is it more than 0.5? Yes. Is it significant? I will not delete it. Let us check the confidence intervals bias corrected also. Is the 0 present in this confidence? No, the 0 is not present. And therefore, I will not delete these statements. So thank you to all of you. This was regarding the reflective and formative model in SmartPLS-4. You can subscribe to my channel. You can also see my playlist in which I have already uploaded many videos which are related to SmartPLS-4. Please don't forget to press the like button. You can also follow me on LinkedIn and Twitter.